Hello and welcome to the Whistling Podcast. My name is Tilt McGuernsey. Today I bring to you an editorial from the Independent magazine from 1912, just entitled Whistling. It seems that the Independent had a yearly contest where readers could send in their vacation stories and vacation photos. There was a first prize of $15 and a second prize of $10 for the stories and photos respectively. Everyone who entered got a free subscription. The photo that interested the editor was a photo that didn't win any prize and was simply of a boy whistling on his way to go fishing. I don't really know who the author of the editorial was, but my guess is that it was a man named Hamilton Holt, who was an editor from 1897 to 1921. He took over as owner of the magazine in 1913. The Independent magazine was founded in 1848 by several Congregational church laymen, one of which was Holt's grandfather, Henry C. Bowen. It began as a weekly religious magazine created to promote antebellum abolitionism, and after the Civil War it remained a progressive voice that took on other progressive causes, including universal suffrage, racial equality, and world peace. Howard Holt was one of the founding members of the NAACP. As a progressive myself, it's nice to see that most of the people who have written about whistling in the past haven't been vile racists, sexists, fascists, or any other vile type of human. Now on to the article. The Independent, New York, Thursday, August 15th, 1912. Editorial, Whistling. Those who studied our vacation number noted well that remarkable picture which placed in the foreground a whistling boy, the pose of the lad, and that perfect satisfaction which is expressed from his bare toes to his hat, in the arch of the pole over his shoulder and the basket on his arm, in fact in every wrinkle of his pantaloons, sums up well in the title given to the picture, Great Expectations. The foliage of the trees and the absolute bareness of the soil under his feet indicates that nature has given away entirely all of her purposes and whims, and is absolutely at one with this boy, that he shall fill his basket with fishes. Yet the picture would lose its unity entirely but for that puckered mouth, and the whistle which we do not hear, only it is everywhere dominating. Look through the rest of this superb collection, and not one is without its interest. The sea dashes against the rocks. The brooks rumble downstream. The children are noisy at their games. The sheep nibble lovingly on the lawns. The swans preen themselves. And everybody and everything is happy. Yay! But nowhere is perfect satisfaction so completely expressed as in the whistling boy. It happened this morning as the country editor laid down the vacation number for the dozenth time, and his ear was filled with the choral daybreak song of the robins, that he heard far down in the valley another boy whistling. Or was it the same boy? It might have been a lad that was filled with the glory of daybreak and was trying to chime in with the robins. It might have been a lad who had risen early because the fish will bite best at dawn. You can generally tell who it is that talks, and mostly will know a man by his laugh. But whistling is seldom individualized. One thing about it, the whistler in the valley was intensely happy, and he was in full key with nature. Everything was happy, and everybody was happy, and so was the editor. It is, however, possible to distinguish a whistler by the habit that he has of punctuating some special part of the day, either as now, the very early morning, or the working hours when he tosses the hay or grain, or the evening hours when work is laid aside and care is over. Felix was happily named, for a happier soul never undertook to wrap love around the world. He always whistled all over. He whistled himself all to pieces. He went off into a whistle. He came around the end of the lake every evening on horseback, with the mail over his shoulder, the horse taking care of herself, and Felix just whistling with all his might. We would like to know if there is any other way for a boy to let his soul fly right off, unrestrained. Talking will not do it, although the gesture language of some races has much in its favor. As we use speech, it is formal, dramatical, autographical even. Imagine Felix saying, "I am happy, I am jolly, hurrah, boys!" Nonsense, for he could listen to himself only a moment when he would keep still. No, talking will not do it. Not even exclamation, and as for gestures, his collie would do it far better. But he can tell it all in a whistle which has never been put into grammar. Whistling, then, has its place as mere language. It lets the soul free from fetters of the body. It says descriptively what words make foolishness of. It is not only for joy, but it is also when a boy is out of tune. When he wishes to go fishing, but must go for the cows, he whistles. When he goes by the graveyard at night, he whistles to keep up his courage. Then again, when he starts off with a good lot of bait in his pocket, he whistles over great expectations. A man whistles naturally when in doubt. There is a scientific whistle, something like that which Professor Warder used when he anatomized kittens. If there are 3 political parties in the field, a man whistles because he cannot quite see his way clear to make a choice, especially when the 3 platforms try to cover the same reforms. When his mind is made up, he uses another kind of language, possibly more expressive to others, but not to himself. He finds it difficult to put partnership into a whistle, so you cannot discover a bigot whistling, or a man who has made up his mind to gouge his neighbors, or engage in any other mean thing. He whistles when he has carried through a successful deal and is throwing care off his shoulders, but when he is up to a trick, he is silent. You note that animals never whistle, although they do talk. Some of them sing, and some of them wriggle a great deal of wisdom with their tails and noses. Togo talks equally with his tongue and with his tail. He sits just now near the editor's desk and expresses his emotions and his wishes and his hopes wonderfully well. We wonder now why a dog is not in that picture with the whistling boy. He might be there, although nothing else in the world would be adjustable to the case. Togo laughs when he has won attention, drawing up his lips, showing by his beautiful teeth that he is delighted, but he cannot whistle. Our catbirds are loquacious, and some of them can almost conquer the alphabet, but they cannot whistle. Whistling is one of the universals, and it is done in the same way all the world around. When a Chinaman whistles, he does it exactly like a Yankee. And it is in the same way, whether the boy be a Cossack riding horseback over the steppe, or a cracker picking oranges in Florida. He shapes his mouth precisely as the lad who goes fishing with great expectations. Encourage whistling. The boy who never whistles do you look out for. It is the natural language of youth. He should not disturb the household, but out of doors he should be allowed to put on steam, for that is just what whistling means. Perhaps you have already noted that the mean boy has a mean sort of language. It is entirely natural that he should swear. Profanity is not artificial. It is the Esperanto of mean souls. They break into it involuntarily. You wish to know where Tom learned such vile words? He did not have to learn them. It is the expression of inside vulgarity. The end.